the campaign to save the last Women's Aid in South Yorkshire, previously known as Doncaster Women's Aid, because I'd got to know Lou and some other people that were involved in the Women's Aid through having to need to use the service. And some of you that are here will know that because you've met me before or heard about this before, but I'm from Sheffield, and I had to come through to Doncaster to use the Women's Aid out of sheer panic that my partner at the time would have found out that I went to anybody for help because of what he was doing to me and our kids. So that's the connection. And I'll not go into detail of any of that. Nobody needs to hear any of that. We all know what domestic abuse is and the many forms that it can take. In 2016, I was part of the first campaign to try and save this service, which has been part of Doncaster. At the time, it had been part of Doncaster for 40 years. This year it'll be 42 years. And touch wood, it is still part of the community. So in 2016, the council had withdrawn funding, and this is the Doncaster Council, and we fought and fought and fought and managed to get coppers offered off them, really, which was 30 grand grant, which at the time we were led to believe was a rolling thing, a yearly, like a community grant, which many different communities can apply for. And we thought that was it. We really, really thought that was it, and it would save the service, and that this was going to be an ongoing thing. And we were so proud, and rightly so, you know, regardless of anything else that's happened since. And in 2016, in August, I got a call off somebody at Women's Aid, and she said, "They've done it again, Jen. They've withdrawn funding again, and they've told us we can't reapply for this grant, we're no longer eligible." And just to get you straight on this, people that can apply for funding to help open an allotment, they can apply for the grant. You can name a dozen other things that people can still apply for this grant for. If you want to save the lives of women and children in this community, you're not eligible. Now, there have been people in the council that, as Amy said, have people who remain silent to their shame, people who have lied to their shame, and there have been people that have done the council's dirty work, and to their shame, they've done it. They've got Lou out of the service, and an email that was leaked recently by somebody who supports the Women's Lives Matter campaign. Actually got sent an email from one of these people, and this person had sent this email saying, "Oh, yeah, that Women's Lives Matter campaign, they're nothing to do with South Yorkshire Women's Aid. And Amy, she's never been anything to do with our service. This young woman travelled 6 months from Leeds, Doncaster, week in, week out, giving her labour free because she cares. She's nothing to do with the service." Absolutely disgraceful. And this person's got the audacity to call themselves a socialist, the person that's written this email. They've slandered the campaign, they've slandered this courageous worker who spoke up about the cuts, knowing full well a job would be on the line. But if that meant if one person's life would be saved, that it was absolutely worth it. Sorry, baby. And this person said in this leaked email, "We've been working closely with our friends at Doncaster Council, and I'm pleased to inform you we'll be offering some new services, one of which will be to open the service up to men." So there you have it. Sent from this person on her own personal email address, and that's been sent round any trade unionist that she gets details of, who she knows are openly supporting this campaign. Women's Aid will close in Doncaster, the last one in South Yorkshire, unless these people are stopped. Career-hungry, shameless right-wingers, not one of them socialists.
much. Thanks for coming. I'm pleased to support the campaign. I think it's a pattern, isn't it, that we can see now across the country, that there are pockets in local government where the spirit represented by Jeremy Corbyn's leadership is absolutely opposed. You know what's happening here. The one that made the national news was the Haringey Council, where the right-wing council did a deal to sell off a huge amount of publicly owned land and a council estate, partly to a private development company. And the people just said no. They said no, we're not having it. They voted those councillors out. Or they voted to that there should be other councillors standing. The leader of the council resigned, and that is stopped. So that was a terrific victory. Similar thing is happening in Waltham Forest or Walthamstow, just nearby. And John McDonnell again said that a scheme should be the people should be satisfied with the scheme. Should belong to them. And one of the right-wing leader, Labour leader, said, "Tell John McDonnell to get back fighting in other constituencies." So there's a clear split, you know, and we shouldn't be afraid to confront it, because if we don't, then we might win an election, but we won't be in power. And I think the key thing connected to that is that if we go back and we win an election, and it's the same MPs that move votes of no confidence, that brief against the leadership on a daily or weekly basis, against them, to the Daily Mail, to the right-wing papers, they go on television, they're welcomed on television to attack or undermine the Corbyn leadership. Then if we get back with those MPs, then we're not going to have the strength to carry through the programme. And you see what the media are doing to the Tories now, in disarray. Think what they would do with 2/3, 3/4 of Labour MPs ready to undermine Jeremy Corbyn. So I think we have to demand on the democratic right to choose our candidates. We're not talking about these. Just elect our candidates, let the members, because a Labour MP is not a job for life. It's actually, we should be able to say, look, based on your record, based on the principles that have guided you, if you have any, it appears to have guided you, based on your experience, based on your ability, are you the very best person of all those who are available to represent Labour in Parliament? If you're not the very best, even though you might have been quite good in the past, if you're not the best at this moment, now with these challenges, we need to replace you. Football managers suffer it. Everyone suffers it, you know. So why shouldn't Labour MPs? And I think it's a fundamental democratic right, but absolutely essential. And I think we've got to fight for that. I mean, at the moment in the Constitution, it talks about you have to go through the process of deselection. Okay, find a way of going through that process. But it needs to be enshrined in the Constitution that everyone has to stand for it, to be reselected, to be elected to stand again. Otherwise, this idea that they're there, you know, and they have their own, they're there by divine right, you know. So I think that's a fundamental principle we've got to fight for. Anyway, sorry, the time's short. I'd love to hear a few contributions.
Yeah, so we've got...
And I was pleased to see John McDonnell's thoughts on public ownership, because they're not the old-fashioned state top-down. You know, there's all kinds of forms of public ownership, cooperatives and community organisations, and belonging to the people, but not a great towering edifice dominated and directed from Westminster. But what I think is important for us to win and really win, there's got to be a big social movement across the country. And what is not negotiable, to my mind, is defending the independent interests of working class people. That's the principle you stand by. And where there is a need, that's what you defend. And you don't put it off and say, oh well, you know, we can't do it now, let people suffer, never mind, we can't challenge this, we can't challenge that. We build the movement by standing firm on principle. And where there's a need, we have to defend it. Because it is the system that's producing this chaos and this need and this poverty. I mean, you think how the vulnerable people are treated by Department of Work and Pensions. You know, terrible, shocking stories. And we've got to extend Labour's policy on that, not be content with where it is, but develop it. But absolutely argue the case and campaign for the case over and over again. And where Labour councils are blocking it, well, I mean, we've got to win. And you'll know probably more about taxes than I do, so I venture this with some trepidation. But I would say we've got to win the CLPs, we've got to win majority in the constituency parties, and we've got to deselect the councillors. We've got to get new councillors wherever we can, and get in early, and get people, good people standing by, you know. So we've got a good people on the bench to come on. And I think that's what if I'm worried about standing candidates against Labour, because they will kick you out of the party. So we can't, that's what they want. They want you to stand up against Labour, because then they'll say, there you are, bunch of trots, get them out. And the people, it'll be difficult to defend that within the rules. So my thought is, don't stand against Labour, but get different candidates. We've got to get different candidates. And the people you mention, absolutely, challenge them and look at their record and say, this is sufficient evidence for us to say, you are not the right candidate for us now. You know, I don't think they have to be found with their hands in the till. They don't have to have chased somebody around the room. You know, I think we should challenge them on their politics and say, you have not represented the or you're not representative of the politics that Labour stands for now, and challenge them on that basis. It may be more difficult than I'm saying, so forgive me if it is, but I think that's the way we have to go.